What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'll be talking about the mistake that almost made me quit fishing. Let's get into it. So the mistake that made me almost want to quit fishing was just making fishing way more complicated than it had to be. I was spending way too much money on lures that I didn't really need, like swim baits and stuff. Although those are fun to fish, they're not exactly like essential, and they get pretty expensive really fast. So I found that the best way for enjoying fishing is just keeping it simple. So baits like the Wacky Worm, that's one of the main ones. This is a really good bait for beginners. All you have to do is literally take a little wacky rig hook, just like that. You take your worm and you put the hook right through it. And that's it, it's ready to go. You just tie that up and you throw that. You throw it out there, you just give it some pops, and it just catches fish. So that's why it's one of my favorite baits. The second bait that I like to get that keeps things pretty cheap and simple is the Ned Rig. It's a really nice bait, pretty cheap, and it can catch a ton of fish, especially in the colder conditions when it gets tough. So this is my second choice. Second bait is just a simple jig. Obviously, pretty simple bait. It's not super expensive. It can catch you some big fish. This also can be fished for the most part year round. The jig's also relatively easy to fish, so that's why it's the second bait on my list. The third bait on my list is the spinner bait. This is a super effective bait. You can catch fish all the time on these. You can catch a bunch of fish. They work really good on cloudy conditions and windy days. They can just slay bass, and they're not super expensive. Spinner baits are really easy to fish. You just cast them out there and reel them back in, so that's why it's the third bait on my list. The fourth lure on my list is a square bill crankbait. This bait works most of the year, imitates bait fish, so it's great for catching bass. That's why it's the fourth on my list. The fifth and final lure on my list is just a normal Texas rig. Just take a normal EWG wide gap hook right here. You're going to want to put it in the top of that worm. Just put it right down in there. Go down till about when it starts to where the hook starts to curve. That's about as far as you want to go. Then just pop it out just like that. And then you're going to want to take this, turn it on the hook, slide it up, just line the hook up right with the bait, and then pinch it right about there. Put that hook in the bait, pop it out, and then just make sure that you Texpose the hook. That means just putting the tip of the hook into the bait a little bit, burying it in there. The purpose of Texposing the hook like this just keeps it from getting hooked on any cover or anything like that. Finally, you just want to take a little weight, and when you put this on, this would be on the line above it, and that would just sit right about there. And you can either use a bobber stop or not. You don't have to. It really doesn't matter. You can fish this with or without the weight, whichever you prefer, but it's super inexpensive and it can catch fish pretty much year round. So that's why it's the fifth bait on my list. So some of the more expensive lures that I was talking about that I spent money on that didn't really catch me as many fish as some of those simple lures are lures like swim baits, something like this thing, like a whopper plopper, some of the walking baits, and also some of the topwater frogs out there. While some of those baits can be really fun to fish and they can catch you some good fish, they're just not nearly as inexpensive as the other lures that I had on this list. I still will fish those other lures, but the main ones that I stick to are the 5 that I listed earlier in this video. So for those beginners out there just getting into fishing, the 5 baits that I listed today are great baits to get when you're just getting started in fishing, so you don't get in over your head spending a ton of money. That'll bring today's video to a close. It was a pretty quick one, but I just wanted to get some of those tips out there for those new anglers out there just getting started in fishing and helping you guys out a little bit. So if you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell so you always know when I drop a new video. And just let me know down below in the comments what you guys want to see next, and I'll be sure to do my best to get the content to you. We'll catch you all on the next one.